FC25, or as normal people call it, FIFA. EA Sports have gained a reputation for themselves, and for their annual sports releases, they all typically follow down a similar path of being a game which has been accused of not really doing too much other than being a glorified reskin. Is that the case this time round? Well, let's find out. Comment down below your thoughts about the new FIFA, and of course, if you think it's worth getting. The angle and the purpose of this review is to give people in a similar boat to myself, people that are football fans that wants to get a FIFA because their friends have it, however they don't really feel the need to, and they are quite skeptical about, is it really worth putting the money into it, because we already know what we're going to get. If you're a FIFA Ultimate Team player, you're probably going to get the game anyway, just because of the new reset and the brand new start to everything that you get with it. However, if you are someone that's much more of a career mode player, there's possibly more into this than what you may actually imagine. So comment down below your thoughts on this new FIFA, like and also subscribe. We are nearly as 500,000, which is insane. And of course, as you can see behind me, Mazzola Designs, all made by myself. I'm very proud of it. So I'm sure that you're aware of my stance on these FIFA games. I will always be honest and I will always be upfront with you guys. And that is why I wasn't going to get this FIFA, because I didn't really feel the need to. However, from my last video a week ago, I was reached out by people who are fans of mine saying that they would love a review to be done by me. So this video has been brought to you by The Game Collection. The Game Collection is the UK's #1 independent games retailer. For any game on any platform, they will give you the cheapest price, with also a loyalty system that can get you even more discounts on other games in the future. Due to everything online being digitalized, they actually give you the physical copy of the game, something that you just don't get these days. They've been around since 2005 with a 5-star rating on Trustpilot and free next day delivery. And they have provided me this year's FC25 to do this video for you guys. So if you, like me, are on the edge of really thinking it's worthwhile getting this FIFA, and if this review helps you lean towards getting it, then I'll leave a link at top of the description to the Game Collection to get yourself a discount for this FIFA. And of course, if you sign up to a newsletter, you get a 10% off your first order, which means that you can get the game for much cheaper than you would if you were to buy it straight up, which for me, I'm more than happy with offering. So links at top of the description to the Game Collection for the cheapest way to get FC25, or actually any game you guys want to get on any platform. And thank you to the Game Collection for supporting the channel and for bringing you guys this review. So let's get straight into it. So I wanted to give a comprehensive review here and go into each part of the game and comparing it to the last or the previous 5 years and thinking, what steps forward has been made here? Anything new, anything that's been upgraded that can give people a reason to give this FIFA a go. If you are on the edge and you're not really a serious Ultimate Team player, maybe you're much more of a career mode guy, a Pro Clubs guy, let's get into it. So let's start off with FUT, which is my typical bread and butter. I'm much more of a FUT guy. I like the competitive nature of it, and I love the idea of over time growing your squad. And that the best part I could say about Ultimate Team is that you will never run out of things to do. That is the mastery that EA have obtained with Ultimate Team. That with the objectives, with the SBCs, with the variety of game modes, with evolutions, that's also an addition, and also the brand new mode Rush, you genuinely will never find yourself in a position where you just don't know what to do next. Because there's always another objective that you can do to tick off a player, or to get some XP, to get off the season pass, or whatever else. And that may not be something that you want to do personally. However, there's always that option there if you really want to go balls to the wall here. So let's go into the first big name of this FIFA, Rush. Now, Rush, if you're not aware, is a 5v5 game mode. Really, it's a 4v4 because one's a goalkeeper, where in FUT, you could do these drop-in matches, which you have 2 teams of 4. That's a shorter pitch. It's a lot more faster and therefore a lot more chaotic. So when you go into a lobby, certain times there's these events where you can pick a certain filter of what ratings or what pace or stats that's the maximum. My main issue is I don't really see what's the point of having these different game modes or different like events. For example, the slower one where you use a slower player, when there's not really a reason to do that. Like, there's no bonus, there's no addition, there's no cosmetic effect, there's no leaderboard. It's just another option, which I think would just make people just go for the normal default game mode ahead of that, but maybe that's just me. When you enter into the lobby, to the right hand side, you could have these bonuses with your rush points that could go towards your season objectives. So if you select players from certain leagues or certain nationalities, that you can boost up your bonuses by the end of the game, which is something nice. It gives you a reason to try out different players. Now, I played this on the opening day of the game, and for some reason I was already struggling to find a drop-in match. It took me 4 attempts. I don't know why, because clearly there must be people online, but maybe connections are way all over the place. I don't know, but it took me 4 attempts to get to my first game here. Drop-ins can be fantastic. However, most likely would be the most annoying experience you will ever play on this earth. Mainly because it's a drop-in match on FIFA. Most of your teammates don't know how to pass or don't know how to play football. You find yourself in lobbies which a player is just not playing, they just started not playing, or they are playing and they just stop playing randomly. Teammates that don't know how to pass or just make stupid decisions all the time, giving the ball away. The goalkeepers in Rush may be the worst goalkeepers I've ever seen in my 21 years of playing FIFA. And I also love that they probably are aware of this, hence why they're literally just called goalkeeper. I don't even know what rating they are, but they must be at least 50 rated, because any shot you have pretty much always goes in. Trying to get them to pass the ball, like the chat at the bottom, for me it's wrong. It should just be pass, pass, pass and pass. No one needs to say thanks or nice, and if they do, they mean it in a sarcastic way. I wish they do it something like Rocket League, which you can actually like change in settings, so you can just be really sarcastic all the time. In my first game, you see, it was actually quite an entertaining game, which actually led to us winning 8-6, and there was a lot of back and forths, and I quite enjoyed being much more of a defensive player in Rush, just because no one else is. So you seem that you actually feel like you're much more of a team player. Basically, no one's going to defend in this game, so if you do, then you feel like you actually are important. What you find is just every single player just rushes up the pitch, pun intended, and then there's no one at back for the counter, which happens every 5 seconds. So I would suggest just to defend a bit more. My only grievance that I have really with Rush is that there needs to be some sort of leaderboard or stats, because once you've done a game, you just go back into the menu and then like there's nothing there. Like, you could play as many games as you want, but it just resets completely, which I think that is needed to have like a complete default mode where you just play like a drop-in match. But I think there is so much potential here that I think people do enjoy this, that they can have some sort of leaderboard or stats. I'm not saying make it competitive, make it like FUT Champions. If you do want to add a ranked or some sort of like Division 5 to Division 1 system, I do think that has a place. So I think that's something that they could add as like a sort of unranked mode, like what they have now, which is just you drop in and you just play and it's just nice and relaxed. And then maybe they can import some sort of ranked or Division 5 system as well, where it gives people a bit more depth to going into Rush more. My main concern is with the honeymoon period, if it dies down in a month or so, how many more people play Rush just to play it if they're not getting something out of it? Because the issue is with this FIFA community, they don't really play things unless there's a reason to do so. So right now it's because it's new and that there's some objectives you can get. But if that's it, then it will probably fade out faster than they would like, which I think is a shame, because I think they've got something going here. So for Rush, it's quite enjoyable. I think that it's worthwhile trying out for this alone with your friends. And the fact this is also added into Korean mode in ways for the academy and also to pro clubs, it makes it a much more faster experience. And I think that's beneficial. So Rush, for me, I was skeptical at first that I felt like it would just be another Volta, but they have surprised me. So for Rush, I give a thumbs up, but I think it does need some more depth. Okay, let's get into some technical here. Now, for me, this is the main underlying problem that I have with this game. In all aspects of it, in career mode, in the normal menus, in the FUT menus, in every part of it, right? The menus for me is the most stuttery, slow, sluggish, like, it's a displeasure to go through these menus. And for me, it's predominantly worst in career mode, where it's just so stuttery and you're trying to go through the menus. And it's also, I will say this about career mode particularly, it just comes across like a mobile game, like these big blocks of like text, and it looks like you're playing a mobile game, and it never feels like you really are seeing like as much information as you want. Like, it feels like you're always limited to these big blocks of this information that gives you limited info at the same time, and you're gonna go through the menus to see more of what you actually want to see, like the league table, but it takes so long to get through to it, and it's stuttery, and it's honestly by far the menus in this FIFA is the worst I've ever gone through in any FIFA. And when like, a good UI is when you barely notice it, and God almighty, you notice how slow this game is. And by the way, I'm on an Xbox Series X. I'm on a new gen console. I'm not on old gen. I imagine it's the same for PS5 as well as Xbox Series X. On PC, I'm sure PC is a lot more smoother, but who really plays FIFA on PC unless you're like a career mode guy? So really, you'll be playing it on console. My game constantly froze. I think from my 5 hours of recording, I've had at least 5 freezes if it's just through the menu. So one time I tried to go for the objectives and it just frozen like 3 times, and me opening up an objective. Also, one really cool thing is that with the objectives, each time you unlock something, it resets back to the start, or that is this little like glitch that it kind of showcases some other screen midway through each time, and it just makes the experience so much more longer. And it's just also at times when you unlock all your objectives, it still shows up a little icon on the top that there's still more to unlock, but when you actually go into it, you find that is not the case, and that you actually have unlocked everything. When you come out, it then goes away. It's just little UI things like that just frustrates the life out of me. And also, I know you're waiting on it, the menus also for the most part look the same. I even went back onto FC24 to compare the menus, what it looks like, and it looks like the same game. The only real difference is that the blocks is now like curved, so it gives much more of a mobile game feel. It looks a bit more sort of like shiny on the edge, and realistically the menus are the same as last year when it comes to FUT. And that's annoying. Like, by no means does the menus look really ugly. I kind of like what they've done with the FUT menus. Like, I don't think it's cluttery. I don't think it looks that bad at all. It's just a shame that there's not much more about it. Like, the stadium still looks the same, and it's just like the car design still look the same, and how the color palette still looks the same. You know what I mean? I like something that can really distinguish it. So again, I said it before, that you can tell that a FIFA 17 is different to FIFA 18 and 19 or 20 because there's a different color scheme to it all. It could be the same menu in terms of the same structure of it and the layout, but the colors are completely different. And again, that may come across as really weird, and maybe that is actually something that I've always like critiqued the game for, of like, oh, it's the same game but blue. But at least it was something that gave you a difference of what the game looked like. FIFAs in the last 4 years, for me, aesthetically, all look the same. Let's go into PAX. Now, PAX is a bit different. They've now brought back a tunnel, which is cool. The community loves a tunnel. I don't know why they got rid of it. I thought it was really annoying, and it's a small thing, but it actually does go a long way. So the tunnel's back. It's cool enough. There's like these lines you can see behind the players to know if it's a walkout or not, and there's a walkout tell. That's fine. It adds some excitement to when you're opening packs for your rewards, whatever else. That's fine. From a UI perspective, it does annoy me that it doesn't show you the entire pack like in one go. So you've got to go to the side for the final 2 each time, because the card actual design is like a bit more bulkier. Again, something small. Of course, there's store packs early on, the foundation packs and 45Ks and these little like packs where you get like a bunch of like gold players or non-rare gold players or whatever else. It's just additional ways for EA to make more money out of you. And like, I get it because it must work because people keep opening them, so fair enough. And I could tell because when I play Rivals, I'm playing like insane teams. So in my first game in Rivals here, I faced against a team which had like, you know, Inform, Lamine Yamal. And you can see my team compared to his team. It's not like an insane team by any means, but you find that the curve of getting a team that you'd imagine is actually a decent team is just within the first day or so. And again, I liked it when people just had like a normal 5-10k BPL team, and that's what most people ran with, like a Serie A team. But it's just not the case anymore. People just already off the bat have like very, very good teams. And that's my one grievance with FIFA these days, is that kind of curve of upgrading your team goes so fast that you already feel like satisfied of where you're at very early on, and then your next upgrades just feels even bigger and bigger. And that's my main issue with the current power structure of FIFA. Most packs you ever get on this game are always untradeable. Basically, any packs you get in objectives are always untradeable, and even the foundations, so the advanced SBCs, you know, the hybrid nations, hybrid leagues and nations, right? The pillar stone of starting up your account every year, making every single pack untradeable. And I didn't even realize that until I opened up my 50k pack near the end of the recording, and then I realized that in my 50k pack everything was untradeable, which really bummed me out. So every single pack in the foundations is untradeable, and you find that most packs you open in this game are also untradeable. So to really get a good coin tally, you need to do something special. So I go into some Rivals games. So I played about 4 Rivals games for this video. And my first game was a very frustrating one, especially with a guy like this subbing on players early on, despite me having a bad team. Just showcases how the community winds me up more than anything. Rivals is a fine game mode. The main issue with Rivals is that you don't want to play too much of it, because if you are a semi-decent player, you can maybe get to Division 3 or 2 or 4. 3 I think is the limit of when it gets really bad. You kind of always want to stay in Division 5 or 4 or 3 or 6. Like, you don't want to get that far ahead, because Rivals can be completely hell. Once you get to a pretty good level, the games are just infuriating to play. Now, these days, I'm probably not that good of a player because I just don't play the game that much, and I don't really want to in the gameplays like this. I saw a tweet by someone who's pretty high up in Rivals, and his experience goes like the following: long range power shots, trivela shots, rebound goals, L1 sprint boost, and that's his Rivals experience. I talked to other content creators that much more higher ahead than me, and they're having similar annoying experiences where Rivals is a complete sweat fest. So in this gameplay you see here, penalties were just given way too easily. My goalkeeper for the second goal was just terrible. When he made his sub early on in the game, the De Bruyne being subbed on just stayed on for like 15 minutes for whatever reason. He just De Bruyne in top left being subbed, so I couldn't even see the score. And in terms of gameplay specifically, I just don't like it. Now, of course, my stats, my players isn't great, but I even play some draft games or some games with higher level players in career mode or on seasons or on draft, and like, I just don't like how the game feels these days. It feels so slow and sluggish. It feels like your team isn't really playing with you. It's almost like the game is like 3 different parts of it, where once you're on one part of the pitch, the rest of the team doesn't really feel like they're really involved. And it just frustrates me that maybe I need to find the right tactic, maybe that's the issue, but it feels like there's a disconnect between your attack and your midfield where they're not really linked and they're not on the same page. So it feels like it's like one part of the game against the other here. Pace is so huge. I got Caminacci just gets caught up like he's nothing. And dribbling, finishing, like stats make such a huge difference. So if you're some of a good team, you will have so much of a higher chance. I can't see a world where like, you know, hashtag Harry plays with like a bronze team or like a silver team and does really well in foot champs. Like, it's just unbearable to play with these slow, sluggish players. The fourth goal I conceded in this game is a goal which you would find you concede quite a lot in this game, which is just rebounds, which is always a staple in most games in FIFA, to be fair. I tried to make some sort of comeback. I led it to 4-3, and then in Div Rivals in Division 7, when this guy's got a much better team, he's time wasting, which I find funny. So into my Division Rivals journey here, I played my second game. My opponent was pretty poor, to be fair. His team was... I mean, he had some loans and that, but it was just a standard starting team. He had Murat up top, and he was a pretty poor player, and I go 2-0 up, and then I win the game. So yeah, I feel like I'm good at FIFA again, or whatever. And what happens next is something which I can always give FIFA, like this is why I think people love FIFA so much, is that you're always unlocking objectives just by playing a game. So for example, this Robert Sanchez World Tour objective card, like, I had no intention of doing this card at all. However, just by playing the game, by scoring goals or whatever, you're unlocking most of his card already, and there's usually always one like part of it which you actually need to like go out of your way to do, and then you may actually put in some Spanish players in the team to actually go and complete this card, and this happens quite a lot. So that's one thing that I kind of like about the game, and why I think people love it, is that there's always things like that you're pretty much already completing things, and that you get close to the edge of it and you're like, oh well, I might as well, and that gives you more reason to keep playing the game modes. And this is when I tried to unlock an objective and the game crashed. Game 3 of Rivals here, and again, I hate this stadium. Like, I just hate how everyone plays in the same stadium. It annoys me so much. Like, each game just feels the same. The opponent I played against was pretty poor. I went 2-0 up pretty early on, and then in the 90th minute, this fun thing happened with my goalkeeper, which you find happens also a lot, which your players just do whatever they want to do. So I almost gave up a goal there just for no reason, because my keeper felt like running out, and then they did go 2-2, and he celebrated a little bit too long for my liking, which he actually really annoyed me. So I get some more chances, and in the 56th minute I have a corner which I just crossed it in, and headers seem like they're still relatively decent to get, so you can maybe change up the variety of how you play a bit. If you want to cross the ball in, that is viable. If you have a player which is, pretty physical, but pace is usually the standard, which you can just go down to the byline, just cross it in, just low driven pass. It's pretty standard these days again. And this is the thing, I find it so easy to just run around the defense. Trying to dribble through a defense, it's just not happening. Like, it feels like there's just this massive block in front of you, and your players just are not agile enough to really go through. And the passing as well. The passing is also different, where you need high stats or certain traits like the tiki-taka playstyle for example, right? Which that's why they've added these playstyles. If you don't have these playstyles, you pretty much can't play the way you want to, which gives people a reason to go and get players with these certain playstyles to make them actually play football. It's frustrating as hell. So from this game, I also unlocked my first part of Gravenberg Evolution. Now for me, Evolutions again is still part of the game. The menus still look the exact same, but Evolutions is the best part of FUT in my opinion. It gives people an actual reason to try to upgrade a team in the way they want to. So if you're a Liverpool fan or an Arsenal fan, or any fan, you can build your team that you want. My only one real gripe is the premium evos. I'm not a fan of the fact that they've found a way to monetize this and to basically hold back progress behind a paywall. So they have the normal evos as the standard ones that is usually a bit lesser, and then the big ones that you actually want, they will put behind a paywall. And for me, this is how they get a lot of people. This is how they got me. You can see that I got 50 FC points on my account. I transferred it from my account last year. I actually put FC points in the game last year to get an evolution, which I tried to do like an Anasarori, like burn the card. So I thought it'd like be really big and it would make me play the game more. And then his card wasn't that good, and then I'd stop playing the game. But that's how you can see it. So if you're wondering why I've got points in the game, that's why. That's how they caught me out. And I would never put points in the game to buy packs, but for the evolutions, I felt like, well, at least I know what I'm getting here, and it may upgrade my experience. It still didn't, but this is how they're going to get people like me that would never open packs. I just don't like how they're basically forcing people down a road, which to really get your player as good as others, you've got to put money in the game. Yes, you can do it with coins, but the issue is that coins is such a rarity in this game. Like, coins are so precious now, unless if you know how to trade. Like, most people are not doing it with coins. And also, by the way, cosmetics. So there's cosmetic evolution. So there's like a Team of the Week one, or one that adds like purple. They're currently charging 400 points for a bit of purple onto your evolution card. Why are you charging money, like actual money, for me just to make my card purple? So yeah, when it comes to rivals, it's a standard process, and just don't play too much of it, otherwise you find yourself just in unbearable games. The meta, I think, with the gameplay, I just don't like the gameplay. I think it's so slow and so sluggish, and I don't like this realistic aspect because I just don't think it's really worthwhile. And they also hold back on progress so much that if you got good players, good play styles, you're just so far ahead of people that just don't have that. Like the skill gap, I just think that it's just a fact that you just got players that can do things that you couldn't do with normal players. And I just don't think that's a skill gap. Like, a skill gap is something that does exist when you can use a 10k team against a full icon team, legend team, and you can still beat the legend team if you know how to play the game. That's a skill gap. That's what you could always do back in FIFA 14, 15, 16, so on and so forth. You can always beat a legend team if you know how to play the game much better than them. In this FIFA, I don't think that's the case. I don't think you can just have a 10k BPL team and beat someone that's got a full legend team or the icon team. I just don't think that's possible these days because it's so wide, the gap. In terms of other game modes, squad battles is the same as it always has been. It's not changed since when they first brought it in back in, what, FIFA 18 was it? Draft, I actually did play a draft. I got given like a free chip, so I felt like, oh, I'll play some draft. I just wished that more was done with draft. Even in the menus, it looks like it's just cut from FIFA 16. The balls is still the same as FIFA 16. I feel like if they made it like a bit cheaper at like certain times of the week, so like, you know, it could be draft Thursdays, for example, right? That draft Thursdays or draft Tuesdays, that it's like instead of 15,000 to enter, it's like 5,000, right? And it gives you a reason to go into that game mode on that day, and maybe, or do 15k, but there's a higher boost of whatever packs you can get, but make it untradeable if you really want to. Like, just give people a reason to get into draft, because for me, it just, like, if it's better packs or cosmetics or season boost, just something, because draft is something that I feel like is actually quite enjoyable to give people a bit of a different taste of the game. However, no one really plays it because it's never worthwhile putting 15k into it unless if you are really, really good at the game and you know you're gonna basically win it each time. So I just wish that draft had much more behind it. But anyway, I did a draft and the squad was fine. Vinicius Jr., Di Natale, Snyder, it's fine. I went into a game, the guy had like Bellingham and Mbappe, and when I saw Mbappe, I just knew that like this is my first taste to really see how like just AIDS like these high rated meta cards are, and it was absolutely unbearable. The game went back and forth. I went ahead quite a few times, and then like I think I just conceded 2 goals in like a minute or something. And then I scored in the 88th minute or something, and then I thought I won the game. Turns out, no. I don't want to say it's kickoff boost or something, but like I just have no defense, so I'm sure that's on me. And then, funnily enough, I was actually going to say that using a player like Lucio at the back, it made me appreciate like how important having like top rated defenders are, because you just literally magnetize the ball to you all the time. And I was going to really say how important defensive stats are. Then this happened, and then I just conceded the world's worst own goal in like the 90th minute, and then something weird happened. Something that I've never seen happen on FIFA in my entire time playing the game. My players and fans were celebrating despite the fact we lost. And not even are they celebrating winning the game, but they're celebrating winning the tournament. Like there's black screens randomly. It's not me cutting it. It's random black screens through the celebrations, and then there's a trophy lift, which I have no idea what's going on. My players' legs are through the floor. The hands are not really even on the trophy because it's not really. I don't know if it's meant to be there or not. So I'm just here thinking, I don't know what's going on. I've just lost in the 90 minutes to an absolute BS own goal. The scoreboard in the stadium says that we won. So I'm there thinking, have I just won the draft? And like the game's glitched and I'm gonna get the big packs? And then it comes out of it, and of course, I did actually get the loss. So I don't know what that was for. And I've never seen that happen in all my time playing FIFA. I've never seen a world which I lost a game of draft or anything, and it pretended that I won the entire tournament. Never happened ever, and I'm just relieved that I actually captured this. And to end it off, I did some SBC to get some like 3 times 82 plus pack, and I've still not had a walkout yet, so this is what I got in it, and this is my squad by the end of me playing the game for a day. So you can see my squad from the start, and my squad by the end just by playing the game for like not even a day to start, and you can see there's already quite a big change. I think I've packed already 3 informs. So would I suggest you playing FIFA for FUT? Well, if you were going to play FIFA for FUT, you would have already got it. Because you would have already wanted to be there for the start of the game, because that's when the most like, you know, unknown is and people don't know what's going on. And if you're playing a game for FUT, you would have already got the game, and if you are already waiting, then you're not losing out on anything that you would have already played. That's kind of how I see it. So if you want to get the game for FUT and you haven't got it already, and you're only going to play FUT, I just wouldn't bother until the game's cheaper, personally, because it is just the same experience, it's the same grind, and the best part about FIFA is really at the start of the game, when things are unknown and things are happening quite fast, and the little things that you wouldn't really care about 2 months in actually makes a big difference at the start of the game. So me packing a Rashford would typically just not mean anything, but at the start it means a lot, and I like that these upgrades goes a long way early on. So again, you would already know if this is something that you would enjoy. It's another standard experience with even worse menus and even more clunkier gameplay. And freezers. So yeah. So what about career mode? So I played an entire career of my manager career mode with Burnley. And as you can see, I put Sean Dyche back at Burnley, because what else am I going to do? So Sean Dyche is at Burnley, and we're going to do the championship save for this entire season. So let's start off with the first thing I said, and I said this previously, the career mode central hub, so it's changed from last year. It feels so much like a mobile game, it hurts, and it feels so cluttered, where it feels like you're never getting the information that you actually want easily. There's like this task thing, and then a massive bar to the side that showcases the social media, and that's kind of it. It's not easy to go through them each day, and it's just so slow to go through as well. Task that is showcases, so you don't even really need to go through. You can just not even touch it the entire year, and it barely even makes a difference. Let's go into the academy, right? So the academy is the biggest part of the game, which I feel like is a massive change, and I quite like the academy. So you get 3 scouts for the academy, and I got 1 looking for Portuguese players, I got 1 in Brazil looking for wingers and attackers, I got 1 in Poland, which I live, looking for defenders, right? So you can see the players I'm looking at here, and you can go through the potential and kind of reject the players with low potential and keep the ones that are a bit more higher. And I also want to highlight this, predominantly the Polish players here, their faces are just hilarious. Like the regen or new gen faces, whatever you call them, it's honestly just hilarious how stupid they look. Like their faces just don't even look like they've even tried. The menus when going through to the squad, transfers, office, like it's just so stuttery. It's again just big blocks of text. It's not an enjoyable experience for me. The academy tournament, so you've got Rush in the academy section, so you can go and play in these little tournaments that happens like every single week, it seems. Now, you can maybe play this once or twice, but you'll find that it's the same thing each time in the same setting, basically the same teams. You can get upgrades for your academy players more, I believe. So if you win a tournament, you get like little boosts to boost up their development, which is fine if you're someone that really is into the academy part of the game. There is this option, so you can always do that. I just personally think that it's just... yeah, it's cool for the first time or so you do it, and it may be a big part of developing your players, but I just don't think it's really worth going through it personally. Like it's just very samey each time. Because at the end of it, I don't really know if I've even helped my players. It doesn't really showcase the stats that it's boosted. I just gotta hope that it does, I guess. So you go through to the next match day. I got my first game here against Blackburn and the Derby at home. You got your new message of Fire Foster here, you got email, and then on a match day it showcases that you got your opponent analysis here, which is pointless. No one ever needs to go through the opponent analysis. like, it doesn't really matter what tactical preset your opponent team plays, because they all play the same way anyway. You got pre-match training, which is, again, if you really want to go into development, then you can, but I just don't think it's really necessary. You've also got press conferences that, again, is cool enough until you realize that you just get the same 4 options each time, and it's just encourage or criticize or humble, and you realize pretty fast that, hey, if I just keep saying encourage each time, then they react very well to it. Like, there's no need to say downplay someone's performance or to humble them, because they're just going to act negatively to it. So why would you ever do it? So either celebrate their form or to encourage them, and that makes complete sense. They will always react happy. It's like, why would someone purposely make their players' morale worse by downplaying or humbling them? Why is that even an option? And it's the same thing every time. It never changes this formula. It's always humble, downplay, celebrate, or encourage. The same 4 options each time. And also one thing that I noticed, right, which confused me. In my conference, I had someone ask a question about Aaron Ramsey, about there's some who's going to come out on top between Aaron Ramsey and Joe Hilton. And I was there thinking, well, I'm a Burnley fan. I know the club. Who's Joe Hilton? I don't know who Joe Hilton is, so I went through my team to find out that there's no one in my entire club in my squad called Joe Hilton. And I went through, maybe I thought the academy, okay, maybe it's the academy, right? Maybe it's a player that just don't know my academy, which is like a new gen player. And there's no one in my academy that is also called Joe Hilton. So I'm there thinking, who the hell is Joe Hilton, and why is there a competition between him and Aaron Ramsey? Like, is this from a different team or something? But then I had a thought, okay, maybe they don't know about Blackburn, because that's my next team. Okay, Joe Hilton, okay. So I googled Joe Hilton, and Joe Hilton is actually an academy goalkeeper for Blackburn Rovers. So the gamers made a link between Aaron Ramsey, a number 10, an attacking midfielder, and the academy backup goalkeeper for Blackburn Rovers. So we got a game against Blackburn Rovers, and there's some cute little things they brought into the game. So a few more cinematics, that's fine. And of course, there's a nice little POV camera 10 minutes in the game, which you can see from like a corner. That's fine. I like little additions like that to make it feel a little bit more immersive. That's fine. My main issue, which I found when playing this entire career mode, and I'm going to kind of spoil it for you guys now, I just don't enjoy playing this game for career mode. Like, it's so slow, it's so sluggish. Like, again, it feels like your midfield is not really connected to your attack here. So when you're on your attack, it just feels like you got the same 3 players each time, and the rest of the team doesn't really help you out at all. It's boring, it's slow, and I'm sure that maybe if you play with higher rated players, it could be better. But I even did a bit of that later on, and it just feels, again, very like you're just dragging a brick around you the entire time. And I get why you may say it's realistic. It's just not something that I particularly enjoy. Now, in terms of difficulty, I did play on World Class, and World Class is, I can do Legendary, but I find it even more insufferable. I thought World Class is like, I can maybe get some goals here, and it's not like an absolute ball to break teams down, because trust me, Legendary is even more annoying. I tried to make a sub as well, and I found it just so frustrating just to find how to swap players in my team. Like, I went to the team management, and it shows me the team tactics and the formations and player roles, but I just didn't know how to actually just change my squad, because it defaults to show you the tactics, but then I forgot you could press LB and you go into squad to actually change the players. So that's something that took me some time to actually figure out how to even use. And then lo and behold, I brought on like Foster, and then we scored a goal, which I think was probably my first actual shot of the game in the 75th minute. I finally found Foster in a little bit of space. It did a bit of a body feint and finally got past their back line, because it's so slow to get past any of them. And I went 1-0 up in the derby. So let's talk about AI here. Now, AI, maybe it's World Class and Legendary is better, but I find that I don't think I conceded a single goal when playing against the AI this entire season. And it's not because I'm like an incredible defender or something. It's because the AI does 2 things all the time. They always pass the ball backwards. If there's any player in front of them, they will never try to pass in between the lines. They will always just pass the ball sideways or backwards, as if they're playing rugby. Or number 2, they just have a long shot, some like 30 yards out for no reason whatsoever, and just give the ball back to you. So at the end of the game, you can find that Blackburn is, they're 1-0 down, and they should try to go up the pitch and try to really do something here. But you find that they just keep passing the ball backwards at almost any opportunity. They pass the ball forwards, there's some space behind them, and then like, okay, 91st minute, they want to attack it, left-hand side, Cantwell, and then this goes backwards again, and then goes backwards to Buckley, he has some space, and passes backwards again, and then it's full time. And then it's like, and this happens time and time again. So for the sake of recording, I wanted to make a transfer, so I also signed Assignon, who played for Burnley last year, and I wanted to sign him and see that process. The transfer cutscenes are pretty much the exact same. The menus are laggy as hell here too. You often find that when you're in the negotiation process, you're going to press A twice to actually get anything done. So you press A, it doesn't actually like recognize it, you're going to press it again. I found that happened a lot of times just throughout this process, and this is an offline. There's no excuse of why the menu should be laggy and stuttery in career mode for me. And when you do sign a player, they went through the process of the training and the running on the treadmill. The players are the same thing each time. I also signed Danny Ings earlier before this, and the cutscene is the same thing, and they do the same thing each time. Maybe if you sign like a really big player, like an 85 or like an Mbappe or something, there's like a different cutscene where like there's a big stage. I think that is the case, but for most players it's this usual standard cutscene. So I played a big game against Leeds away at Ellen Road. I played the entire game here. Apparently Patrick Bamford scoring goals, which I found really funny, so I just want to highlight that. In this game though, the referee is wearing the same black kit as me, so I often found I have to do a double take before I do every pass, in case I keep thinking I'm passing to the referee, which was frustrating. So that happened a lot more times than it should in this game, which you just find that the referee has the same kit as you as your opponent. I got Koleosho, who's fast, and thank God I got him, because I just don't know how to really break down teams in this game. Like, passing wise is so slow, and there's not really that much movement most of the times, and maybe tactics, I just really need to find a tactic that suits me the most. And it takes me until the same time as the Blackburn game, all the way to the 76th minute, to find Lyle Foster in space, and he does make it 1-0. And you may have thought, that looks a bit offside. Well, long and behold, I actually thought the same. So I actually went into the instant replay to look at the actual goal itself, and I swear he is offside. Like, I'm pretty sure on the game he is offside. Now, I don't know if it's because it's Championship that, there's no VAR, so maybe they add a bit more leniency in terms of offside lines and that, but I don't know. Like, I'm looking at the player above, I think it's Bogle. Maybe there's a world that he could be keeping him on, but that is incredibly tight, and he looks so offside to me. So we won the game, celebrations is fine until the cameras just for some reason glitch out, and this happens most games, that the cameras just for some reason glitch out. So you got a press match interview with Sean Dyche, which is cool at Burnley, and you'll find the same thing again, which is just downplay, humble, encourage, or celebrate. So for me, the best way of playing a career mode that I find is just by doing the attacking highlights. Now, you can do the just normal highlights where you're defending and attacking, but for me, attacking I find is a bit more interesting, because you find that it's not just easier but faster to go through a career mode, but it's also much more unpredictable. So I just find that I just do not concede goals against the AI in this game. So in this way, I can actually go down in games, but it can be annoying when you're playing Pompey at home, that is, bottom of the table, and you concede 4 goals at home. So I lose this game like 4-2, and I don't think I know what's going on. Usually if you concede like 4 goals, you usually get like the same amount of chances and opportunities to actually try to level the game or win a game if you take each chance. Yeah, I like to do the attacking highlights just because it makes it a bit more unpredictable. Otherwise, if you play like an entire game, you're just going to be bored. So I played some more games. I was also given the job offer from France. Like, Sean Dyche was given a job offer for France, which I found was a bit interesting. I don't know why Sean Dyche at Burnley in the Championship in September is given the job offer for France, but you learn something new every day, I guess. Oh yeah, and also board confidence. So this is basically pointless. So for the entire year, I was top of the league or second place or so, and I was always in the minuses. I was always in critical for my board confidence. Now, I did actually go out and do things to try to boost it up. So for example, one was the youth development. So signed 2 players, younger than 20, with a higher potential than the usual average rating of the squad. So like 75 or 74 would be mine, right? So I did that, and it still didn't increase my rating at all. Same thing can be said for my brand exposure, which is to, I think, score 10 games in a row at home, which I did. Again, doesn't really boost up my thing at all. The main thing that was critical is my domestic success. Now, I got knocked out in the FA Cup early on. I think I was simulating the calendar, and that seemed to really hurt me. Despite me being top of the league or second the entire campaign, it made no difference. And actually, to spoil it for you guys, I actually won the league, and even after winning the league, my confidence of the board was still uncritical, despite winning the league and even doing other things as well. So I just don't get. So if you are someone that plays career mode, don't have your board thing on strict, have it on lenient, because you actually may get sacked for winning the league just because you may not play every single game to the minute. That's my only guess. Maybe I have a low rating because I'm not doing every single task because I'm simulating most games. Maybe that's why. Maybe that is the case. So in my academy, I found some players from Brazil, some players from Poland that had some decent ratings. So I signed a few of them up, and I recalled my scouts, and I said, okay, you go to India, you go to San Marino, you find the next Haaland, right? So I got scouts in Norway, India, and San Marino. So if you want to go find the next up and coming talent from literally anywhere in the world, like there's like almost 200 nations you can scout for academy, right? You want to go find a player in like the mountains of like Cambodia or something, Nepal, be my guest. You can do that, which is cool. Like if you really want like an up and coming young talent from Guam, you can do that. So I'm going through my games here, and I'm going through it quite fast. So I'm around the March, April time now, and that we've got Norwich at home, which is a big game, who are third place. So 8 games left, and we've got a decent title fight with Leeds, which may happen again this year. And I want to highlight one thing as well, is the social media. So social media is a massive part of the game. So like in your central, it's a massive part of it. It's in your face, and it's almost, it's showcasing in a lot of the games, in the social media part of it. And it's just so dumb so many times. Like the comments are just unbearable to look at. Like, just look at the comments we got in here by these random AI generated Volta characters, right? And they just say some dumb things like beast mode on, beast mode on. Like it looks like AI bots you find on Twitter, like it's just like that kind of vibe each time. So like Slavia Prague beat Frankfurt, and you got beast mode on, a master of the game, and thank you for the golden trophy emoji. What does it even mean? Like, you got Arsenal beat Monaco in a draw for the Champions League, and you got someone saying, can someone tell me what's going on? What do you mean someone tell you what's going on? It's just draw for the Champions League, mate. What more can be done? And you go into it, and it's just like, it's funny to look at. Like, right effort out there. An honor to watch. Hashtag wow. Life before seeing this news, down. Life after, up. It's like, oh god. Like, again, you shouldn't really look into it too much, but I just find it really funny. And also this picture of Sean Dyche celebrating is also hilarious too. And also, speaking of social media, there's times that like it just gives you the wrong information. So near the end of the year, I'm putting as QPR, right? And like, if I win this game, I get promoted, right? I think actually I win the league if I beat QPR here. The socials, you find this most games that it says something along the lines of, title road for QPR against lowly Burnley, which is the literal opposite way around. And I notice this time and time again throughout this, that it just gives you the wrong information. So I play my games, beat Watford, and then against Sheffield United, we also drew the game as well. Again, as you can see, I'm not conceding any goals in games that I actually play. So I got a QPR and we win 3-0, and we've won the league, and there's at least a animation there for like winning the league. And I was hoping that, okay, there's no trophy celebration, it's a hope for there is one for the final game. And then we played the final game at home against Millwall, and thank God we actually did get an actual trophy celebration, which is cool. We got one, and this is something that you'll see at the end of this year as well. My only one little annoyance is that the voices isn't matched up. Like, it's not my recording, it's like what I saw when I was playing the game. Like, the voices are not matched up. So when they lift the trophy and go, oh, hey, like, you hear them do it about 3 seconds before they actually lift it.
For the trophy lift itself, the cup winners.
So, even little things like that, I thought that would have been found out, you know, in the testing, but clearly not. And yeah, just a showcase here. Even despite winning the league, I'm still uncritical on 48 for my manager popularity rating. Despite short-term matching both and long-term, I'm working on getting that youth player thing going on. So yeah, just don't care about the board confidence or expectations. It genuinely doesn't make a difference. So in terms of manager career mode, I like the academy part of it, and if you really want to get really in-depth, you can. The main issue is I just feel like you don't need to. Like, you can literally not do any of the task, any press conference. No, I did no development. I didn't like go into development like at all. I just had it from the start and just played for the entire season. And I simmed most of the season. I did not need to do anything at all. Still won a league. If you want to do more, you can do more. I'm sure you can maybe get a few more, you know, ratings or so. My players still got developed throughout the campaign. You can see from the start and the end that, you know, Kolyosho did improve in stats and other players too. So you don't need to do development to get your players to go up. Maybe they could go up higher if you kept playing, but that's something that you could decide to do yourself. So for career mode, I like the academy features. I think that it has a lot more, it gives you more of a reason to really care about trying to, because I never really cared about academy. No, I actually do. I'm more intrigued to see how these players do. So, you know, I want to try to get the next wonder kid from India or something. That's something that I will try to do for the rest of my campaign. In terms of the AI, I just don't find playing the games that enjoyable. I have played some games on Legendary, and it just, you find that you never really concede a goal that is really like worthy. It just feels like it's AI generated, which it is, I guess. It never feels deserved or earned when you lose a game or like you concede a goal. Often it's just like some ping pong tiki-taka, like pinpoint stuff that you can't really react to because the players are also so slow. But you can absolutely find enjoyment in it if you get the right balance of like the stats in the game, and you can change the settings to make it a bit more easy or a bit more arcade-like. You can change a few more settings to make it this way or the other. If you find the right balance, I'm sure you can find a lot of entertainment from this. So yeah, that's my thoughts on career mode. Now for the player career mode, I simply played as Thierry Henry. I wanted to go into this a little bit, so I picked Henry because there were only 4 options, like Ruud van Nistelrooy was one of them. And so I picked Thierry Henry, and of course I went to Arsenal, and then you go into the menus and you got this cool thing where you can actually kind of pinpoint the next team you want to go to. So you got your player agent, you got your current contract, and then your path. So if you want to go to a certain team up next, then you can work towards basing your stats and your performances to get to the next club. So if it's based on dribbles completed or shots or passes or whatever else, right, you can earn towards that next contract to the next transfer, which is cool because before you never really had that option, and it was most random of who you get to come in for you. So at least you actually have that choice to decide what team you go to next. Now there's also activities, so there's shopping and there's investments. So investments is that you can just, you know, invest into things and it gives you money over time. And then there's shopping, because it all goes around this sort of personality system, which is like Virtuoso or Maverick. And for me, I just don't understand the difference this really makes. I just don't know how much this really changes. Like, you go to shop and you get 100 Maverick points or 100 Virtuoso points for, you know, building a sauna, and then there's some actual benefits of some composure stats or some training recovery stats as well. There's no depth to it at all. It's just a thing that you could just do, but I don't think it really makes a difference at all. So I'm playing as Thierry Henry. I scored goals with Thierry Henry at Arsenal, and if you're an Arsenal fan, you must be absolutely loving the look of this. And again, it's probably really cool to do. So like, I played Wolves first game of the season, and then I'm being caught up by centre-halves, and I'm Thierry Henry, and I'm being caught up for pace by just these Wolves centre-halves, and it really frustrated me. And we actually lost that game, that first game against Wolves, like 4-1. And I couldn't have that. I couldn't allow that. So I actually restarted the game, and I went on and I scored again, and then we won 1-0, and I couldn't score any more goals because I just couldn't do anything, and then we won. So, you know, a good start to the season, boys. Of course, the real point of player career mode is to really just make your own pro, to start from your 70 rate and work your way up, and that's the actual essence of this. This was just a new feature that I felt like just trying out and showing you guys. The cutscenes, the animations is all nice nice and cool, and you can see by the end of each game you're working towards your new contract. So I played away at Villa Park, and we set up Martinelli. And then I also scored another goal with Henry at Villa Park, and for some reason it then just immediately cut out when I scored that second goal, so I don't know what happened there, just froze. We then went into the Champions League, so the licenses is also really cool as well. As always, that you got the proper licenses for the UEFA competitions. That's really neat, as always. It looks nice, it looks clean. So we played against, I think it's Atalanta, so Bergamo Calcio. I got subbed on in Champions League, I scored a goal, happy days, lovely, right? And then we win the game, and then my game crashed. So this is the third time my game crashed, and I then had to go out of the game, and then I went into it again, and then turns out I lost my progress. So I then went back to I believe the Brighton game, which I think I sinned anyway. So yeah, I was playing player create mode, and then the game crashed for whatever reason, and then I lost my progress. So I imagine this may happen a lot more often than it really should. And that was my career mode experience. Pro clubs, I made a new pro. The menus look all nice and clean. The menus look cool. It's got a fresh look to it. I like the look of it. So the menus is a thumbs up for me. It looks like they put some actual effort into this. I was thinking, you know, like, oh god, the hair for the pros looks really nice and clean. So, you know, they put some effort into this, right? I wonder why they put so much effort into this. Then I noticed there's a little tab on the top saying Club Store. They've got microtransactions in Pro Clubs. Now, this isn't anything new. However, if you aren't someone that's played the game for a while, this is why they've put more effort into Pro Clubs. So they found a way to monetize Pro Clubs here. Now, it's realistically just cosmetic, so I will show you guys the store here. And it looks stupid. You got like a guy with like a mustache with sunglasses, and like, it's just stupid cosmetic things, which I think they all look stupid anyway. So if you want a guy to look like, you know, they're like a 90s WWE wrestler, you can. Skill points are the same thing, so you go into your pace and shooting and boost it up one by one. There's also such thing as traits as well, like your playstyle, so if it's tiki-taka or whatever else, to boost up what you want your player to do. And then there's different ways of playing Pro Club. So there's, of course, there's drop-in, and then there's skill games. And then when you're actually part of a club, you can actually have your league system in there as well. So I had no one else around to play this time, so I was just alone. So I did some rush dropping games. Now, rush dropping games for Pro Clubs, I actually felt like was actually quite enjoyable, and it gave you a much more streamlined version of upgrading your pro without the annoyance of playing an actual full-blown game. Again, there's the issue with it being a drop-in match. You're playing against random people. It, again, is usually the most frustrating thing in your entire life. It can be a complete mess, so no one really passes, and in my case, people just turn up and just not even applying. The first goal here is just fouls all over the place, and I don't know how none is giving us a foul. Yeah, no one understands the offside rule, and the names for the players you play against is also dumb as well. So on my other team, we got Mohammed, Groomer, and a Clan Burglar. For a team called Israeli Pager FC. So, and the abbreviation for the team name is FAT. So, you know, it's good to always know that 13-year-olds have a lot of humour in this day and age. Even though we went like 3-0 down in the first bit, the player that was missing then came back and then went away and then came back. Somehow we actually wanted to win the game. I just defended the entire game because that's all you can really do, because no one wants to defend. So I like defending, it seems. So we actually went on to win the game 6-3, which is actually quite enjoyable because the team that we played against was just frustrating. So you play your games, you get your match ratings, you get your XP to boost up your player, and it's a faster experience as well. So I'm cool with that. But then, of course, there's rush drop-ins and then normal drop-ins. So in this case, it's still like 5v5, so there's 5 players on each team, and then it does change. So back in the day, it was like a sort of a default team, home and away. Now it can kind of change up. So here we're playing at Stamford Bridge. We've got Chelsea v Spurs. That I felt like was like a nice touch. But what you find, again, it's not as common in Rush, but because of the AI in drop-ins, you find that your opponents just press A to get the ball past them every single second. And even when they're in a dumb position too, they just spam A. So you find that the AI just keeps passing to them in dumb positions. That is just infuriating. In a game that I played, we went 2-0 down because our teammates can't defend, and they just keep slide tackling everywhere because they have no patience whatsoever. So it just kept giving away penalties. I won't lie though, I wasn't particularly great in this game either. I just couldn't really pass the ball at all. My player's got low stats. It's my first ever game with him, so maybe that's why, but I just found it really frustrated to really pass the ball. For example, after a kickoff, I had the ball, I aimed downwards to pass it to the guy directly below me, but then it just like locked on to a player to the left hand side that was already playing away, and it just went to them instead, and I just don't know how that's possible. So yeah, when it comes to drop-ins and normal matches, I wouldn't really touch, but drop-ins for Rush I think is nice enough, which is still frustrating, but at least it's a faster experience, so it's a bit less annoying to go through. And then there's seasons. I wanted to go through seasons here. So seasons is something which I used to play all the time back in the day. You know, you got KSI Race to Division 1, and I played seasons a lot. I felt like it was actually a pretty good experience. So I went through seasons, and somehow, even on launch, it's still a thing, and only 8,000 people are on it on the launch of FIFA. So this is on the 27th, right? And look, I went through the menus, and there's 21 people somehow already in Division 1 and seasons, which I find absolutely insane. So fair play to them. So I actually played a match of seasons. I think people don't really play seasons. People forget it's even here, but it is. So I picked Arsenal because first team I saw. And then Arsenal, I played a game against Bayern Munich, and this was just an unbearable experience. Now, I will give the caveat that I did play this at like 8 o'clock in the evening on the opening night on a Friday. So I would say that, yeah, the gameplay was just laggy as hell. Very, very slow. I tried to switch players. It just wouldn't allow me. It took like a second delay for each thing I tried to do. If this is the case that, again, to play any match in the evening during peak times and it's just like this delayed in this day and age in 2024, if we're still having these issues, that's just annoying to me. So ladies and gentlemen, there you go. That is my review of FIFA 25 or FC 25. So we are at the end of the video now. Here is my day or so of playing FC 25, going into clubs, going into seasons, going into player and manager career mode, and also FUT. Would I recommend you buying FIFA? Now, for me personally, if you are a FUT player, then you probably already know the answer. There's not much different other than Rush to give you a reason to really play. Like the FC IQ thing, I'll be honest, I don't get it. I don't understand it. It's so complex, this like playstyle plus, it's honestly, unless if you're someone that's really serious and like you want to be like a pro player or like an elite player, I wouldn't even put much thought into it. And what most people would do is just copy off people's custom tactics online anyway. So unless if you really want to get into the game properly, be serious about it, FC IQ is something that you don't even really need to pay any attention to, personally. So if you're someone that wants to play FUT, you probably have already got the game. And if you haven't already and you're thinking about not getting the game because you just don't think it's any different, and you're an FUT player, it really is no different to what you usually play, other than the fact it's a complete fresh start. So if you have that itch, and so do I, to have that itch of starting a new FUT and going through it all over again, it is enjoyable for the first couple of weeks. I'll be honest, I do enjoy FUT for the first few weeks because everything's all new. Your progress that you make is actually really important. You actually want to do some battles because the packs you get from there is actually really worthwhile. So I would suggest getting it if you know that you are going to enjoy it for the first month or two. And then after that, you can maybe go much more into career mode, for example, right? And of course, the pro clubs is always enjoyable as long as you got a good group of mates that you always play with and they're good to play with as well. Clubs will always be enjoyable, and for me should always be the best part of the game, and it's still enjoyable as always. So when it comes to career mode, there's definitely some improvements here that if you want a much more in-depth way of playing a game, you can of course improve your scouts, you can improve your facilities, you can improve your training coaches as well. You can also have a much more in-depth into your academy, and that's something that you really want to work on, you can as well. So it gives you a lot more longevity onto the game. So I would say when it comes to career mode, if you are thinking, is it worthwhile getting? I would suggest you do, personally. even if gameplay-wise and the menu-wise, I think it is still very slow. The menus on this FIFA across the board is very stuttery. And I'm hoping to God that this gets resolved down the line, because it is just frustrating to go through, predominantly in career mode. So that's my thoughts about the game. Comment down below your thoughts. And yeah, it's been a long one, but it was needed. So I'll see you next time.